Hi, I'm Pastor Kevin. Welcome to the After. Now, we've been a little bit off schedule, so if you were checking for us on Tuesday, I apologize. I'm still building some stamina to be able to do this after dealing with a sinus infection, congestion in my chest. So thank you for showing some patience and checking back. And I'm glad you stayed with us to stay connected. If you missed this past Sunday on May the 16th, this is a follow-up session from that talk. So we'll have a sermon recap video available for you if you want to check back soon, and you can watch that first. But continuing our thoughts from this past Sunday, in which we're in a series entitled Jesus and Judas, looking at the dynamic and the tension and the conflict that is existing in that relationship between Jesus and Judas. We're going to have a few more thoughts on what we shared this past Sunday. Now, there are a few people in the Bible that made some notorious choices, and you might say that their sins are infamous for what it caused in the course of history. One of them is Lucifer, one of God's prized angels, a servant of God, a talented, beautiful angel that God created to serve him, that becomes rebellious and selfish and then is banned from the glory of heaven, falls to the earth, is in shame and disgrace, and has since become our adversary for all time. Now, the book of Isaiah gives us a little snapshot into what was going on in Lucifer's heart when he decided to rebel against God. God had given him much. He had a place of authority and responsibility, but he wanted more. And so the Bible tells us in Isaiah chapter 14, how you are fallen, verse 12. How you are fallen from heaven, O shining star, son of the morning. You have been thrown down to the earth, you destroyed the nations of the world. For you said to yourself, I will ascend to heaven and set my throne above God's stars. I will preside on the mountain of the gods far away in the north. I will climb to the highest heavens, and this is the big kicker, I will be like the Most High. God had given him much. He decided he wanted more. He wanted some of what God had, and so he rebelled against him, and the rest is history. A third of all the angels fell with him, and he has been plaguing our lives all this time since. There's another notorious decision, terrible decision, sinful choice that we read about in the Garden of Eden. And in Genesis chapter 3, we read the story of which Adam and Eve decide that they're going to disobey the one rule that they were given and eat of the fruit of the tree that was forbidden. And their reasoning in doing so is this. In Genesis chapter 3, we read that the serpent tempted them, and he said, you will be like God. Verse 5, knowing both good and evil. The woman was convinced. She saw that the tree was beautiful and its fruit looked delicious, and she wanted the wisdom it would give her. She wanted some of what God had. Again, we see that Adam and Eve were given so very much, but decided they wanted a little more. And because they pressed through those boundaries and took for themselves, because they wanted more and they wanted some of what God had, they wanted to be a little more like God. They sinned for all of mankind, were banned from the pleasure of the Garden of Eden, and the rest is history. And now my sin nature plagues me because of what started from that fateful decision. And now we look at the life of Judas. Judas was one of the 12 disciples called by Jesus to follow him. And Jesus trusts him. He empowers him. He loves him. He invests in him. As we have established, Judas would have fit in with all the other disciples. I believe that Jesus may not have appointed Judas to be the treasurer, but the other disciples thought he would be a good treasurer because he was trustworthy, that there was something about him. The Bible tells us he did miracles, that he performed miracles, that he expelled demons from people's lives because Jesus gave all 12 disciples that authority and power to do so, and Judas is doing that. But at some point, Judas decides that Jesus isn't all that he's cracked up to be. And he has his treasury bag that is filled with coins that people had given out of love and thanks and gratitude to Jesus. And Jesus had given him so much, and just like Lucifer, and just like Adam, Judas says, although I have much, I want more. And he takes from the treasury bag and helps himself to what belongs to God. It was that moment which began the chain reaction of events that caused him to betray Jesus. Now, are you seeing the pattern here? That in our lives, we are given so much. God has given us so many good things. He has formed a pattern and a boundary of good things for us to enjoy. But we can allow a proud and selfish nature to say, it's not good enough, and I want more. I want some of what God has. It can be as simple as not going to church because you want a little of the time that is set aside for God. It can be as simple as not giving because you want a little more of that money that belongs to God. It can be as simple as not sharing your gifts and using them for selfish reasons because you want a little bit of what God has. These are the type of things, the motivations, the intentions that ruin lives and carry consequences for generations. There's something very similar between what happened with Lucifer, Adam, and Judas. And I beg you, don't let that happen to you. Maybe it's time to just step back this week and look all around you and notice all the good that God has brought into your life and be content and thank Him and don't allow that selfish desire to take root in your life. It means everything that you've joined us. Thank you for joining us for the After. I hope that you'll be with us on Sunday as we continue this series on Jesus and Judas. If not, please make sure to check in here on the YouTube channel or on the Facebook link so you can follow and keep connected. And whatever way that you stay connected with us, it means a lot to see that you've watched today. God bless you.